got storylines like that, but lately my music's been more about, trying to motivate these young cats, man. Get their mind right, how to use their mind, how to think, how they think. It's been more positive than I would say. I'm not the type of rapper that rap about, hey, bang bang, shoot 'em up. I'm more the rapper that say, hey man, get the money up, man, take care of your family. That's what I'm trying to reach right now.
More about trying to encourage some of these young people to use some of their skills to better themselves and not necessarily get caught up in this.
Yeah, this industry thing that's going on. They got these kids listening to the wrong music. So to the kids that's looking up to me, or I try to make sure they're hearing the right stuff, and then I make sure I carry myself that way too. So that's my story with the music. Is it's something that I really, really love. Now, when I was a little bitty boy, it's a funny story, but I used to stand on my porch and rap to the crowd. There wasn't no crowd, but I had an imaginary crowd in my head, and I would rap to the, and do the moves like MC Hammer and everybody, and I was like, man, I want to be some kind of star. I just don't know what it is yet. I don't know if it's because I wanted to sing when I was little, because I could sing a little bit, but it came more into like the harmonizing and rap thing, more like, you ever heard of Zero?
Yeah, Zero. I've heard him.
Yeah, so if you listen to Zero, that's kind of my who I follow. Like, he sing and he rap, he sing his hooks, he rap his hooks. Sometimes he sing his whole song, in a harmonizing way. So yeah.
And have you have you actually
You breaking up? You say what?
I said, have you joined ASCAP and the music organizations yet, or are you still just strictly doing the independent thing?
Yeah, well, right now I'm doing the independent thing, and that's what we're working on right now is joining. I actually got me a producer right now, and I got me a publicist, and me and my producer working on getting me signed up with BMI and all the ASCAP, all that, everything, We try to get that settled in this week.
Okay.
Yeah, we
and Grant, how important? And Grant, if you're still there, how important do you think it is for young artists to get involved? How important do you think it is for young artists to get involved with like ASCAP and BMI and some of these organizations? Like I said, we oftentimes hear about them, but I've actually done nonprofit radio for years, but I have friends in commercial radio, and I know one of the big complaints, and this is probably what both you and Scoop do, is that the big time radio basically controlled by three entities: there's Clear Channel, Radio One, and a couple of other ones, which also control the venue. So I was wondering how you're able to deal with that, and how you encourage people, whether it's somebody like a Scoop Doo that's into rap, or whether it's somebody that's into rock, or somebody that's into folk. How do you tell them to battle these kind of things that are out there? And how important do you think it is to be a part of the Grammys? To go to the Grammys every year, Grant?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's two things there to think about. One is the PROs, or performance rights organizations. There's ASCAP, VMI, there's also CSAC, there's a few other ones around the world, but ASCAP and VMI are the big ones here. You can just join them. You can only join one, though, as a writer. You can't be in more than one. But you should be in it, because if you're going to copyright your works and put them out there and try to get them played in the radio, it's the only way you're going to get paid any royalties is if a PRO like ASCAP or BMI collects those royalties for you as a writer. So I would recommend doing it. I think it doesn't. I don't know if it really matters which one. I mean, I affiliated with BMI a long time ago, but I think they're both good. They're different. ASCAP is generally regarded as more songwriter friendly, and BMI is more corporate. But I mean, they're doing the same thing. But
right.
And if you're a beginner in the business, you should just join as many organizations that have to do with what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to be a songwriter, join your local songwriter organization, and try to and work with other artists and go listen and share your work, because it makes you a lot better. And you'll find you might find someone that you can work with, someone that you collaborate with, and next thing you know, you're doing a duo, and it's cooler than anything you ever did before. So
right.
It just gives you more opportunities.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of networking. I've been doing more networking than I have ever this year. Like I was on the radio the other day, D-Hour radio, and they heard some music. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, hit me up, man. Hit me up. We need to get in the studio. It's like you say, it's nothing like collaborations, man.
Yeah.
Like you say, you never know when you might run into somebody else, and y'all make a song together, and it was better than anything you ever made before. And they'd be the one that take. Yeah, they'd be the one too.
Yeah. And by the way, I really appreciate you were talking a minute ago about where you're at with your songwriting and the message you're trying to get across. I really appreciate that. I agree. We got to there's so much negativity out there. We got to get positive. We got to spread that love around and get people off this negative stuff.
Yeah, it seems like, especially with rap, and R&B too, is more about money, cars, and clothes and hoes.
Yeah.
It's instead of hip hop was originally to educate. When they first came out with hip hop, they wasn't talking about no money, cars, and clothes. They was talking about educating you on your culture, and educating you on how to get some money.
Exactly.
Way. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, right. And making a positive. Then I don't know if you know Saul Paul. He's from Austin. He does rap and hip hop, but for kids. And he's an amazing guy, and he's got the same kind of positive message that you have. I think that's what he's about, because he sees that when you get the wrong influences, you make wrong choices in your life when you're young. You do. And that's for everybody, not just on the inner city, but this country people too. They make wrong choices. Period. It just in life in general, no matter what your income level is at. And so he's all about trying to change that in music. It's not just the urban music that's that way. Even pop music, it's about getting drunk and maybe fooling around. And that's not necessarily terribly negative, but it's not positive either. It's it's not leading you to a better place than where you're at already. Yeah,
because that's what you don't want that. You don't want people to look up to that, like, oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Like music is the universal communication. That's how people communicate through music. They listen to the music to look for advice. Just to go off of what you said, I have been, I had my dad and everybody, but I still was influenced by some music to go do different things that I probably wouldn't have done if I didn't feel like my one of the rap artists that I listened to done it. So I take that and like you said, try to flip it around, man.
And Grant, and as you're talking to the Scoop Doo and everything, how do you cope with as I mentioned earlier, with the radio stations? Because a lot of times, unfortunately, our radio stations are not doing a good job of encouraging independence. I mean, I belong to a low-power radio station, and a lot of them are doing a lot better, the low-power radios, and to some degree, the nonprofits, but even some of the college radio stations and some of the nonprofits have gotten stuck on doing the same thing over and over and getting almost as repetitive as some of the commercial stations, where you can hear some of the same music at some of the jazz stations in New York that you might hear at some of the jazz stations in Florida. So it seems even they have sometimes got caught in that trap of doing the similar style music and not necessarily encouraging our musicians that are coming out that are new, whether that's an old musician that's coming out new or whether that's a young musician that's coming out that's new. How have you come with radio in general, or even getting venues? Like I said, you formed the artist collaboratives that you talked about, but was that because the clubs weren't being cooperative enough? Because I know a lot of times, a good friend of mine actually owns a club called the BU, and they were doing music for a long time, but they're actually going to stop doing music now because he felt that was hurting his bottom line, and he was paying people, and they weren't getting enough of a crowd. They were coming, weren't necessarily buying food and drink, so he's actually getting ready to cut off entertainment. So I think that's with other clubs as well. So I was just wondering how you cope with both radio and the club environments where there might not be enough of them in the individual cities. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to make money in the music business today. It really is.
Unless you're a big star, it's very difficult. And the big radio stations, the ones that, have the huge transmitters with millions of listeners, they are all of them owned by or controlled by one of those big 3 or 4 radio promulgators out there. They have no control over what they play. They have to play the same crap everybody else is playing. It's only the independent stations, smaller ones, the ones that are, or the public radio ones. I do a lot of public radio stuff too, and there's all kinds of, there's NPR and PRI and just other ones that are public community radio stations, and those are the ones I focus on because they're glad to have me come in the studio and interview and play a song or two, or sometimes if they can't do that, they'll just play a song from a record, or a track that I gave them. That's I get more out of that. I'm never going to, unless I'm a big star, you're just not going to get on those big. You're just not going to get in. You can't get through because the big companies control those radio stations. So forget about them. Forget about them. And kind of the same with. I mean, clubs is for me. It's a different thing in terms of playing venues. I mean, it's maybe not nice to hear if you're struggling. You think, well, I'm going to be really good, and then they'll have me come in and do a show. Maybe not. You know what they really care about? That you can sell a bunch of tickets. That's what they care about. If you sat in the middle of the stage and did basket weaving for an hour, but you filled the place, they'd have you in there every week. But if you were the best musician in the world, but nobody comes to see you, then they won't have you back. Because all they really care about is whether you fill seats. If you sell tickets, that's what they care about.
Yeah, it's about the dollar.
Yeah, so it is. That's their business. They got to fill seats. They might give you a chance as an opening act, so maybe you can talk yourself into getting to be an opening act or something. Then they don't have, but they're probably not going to pay you either. But maybe that would be your way to do an audition and then try to get a paying slot there. It's a tough road. It really is.
And that's one of the interesting things, even with festivals. I've been involved with a lot of festivals here in the North Carolina area, and a lot of times they don't necessarily want to pay what a lot of my artist friends, and when I say artists, I'm talking about performing artists, feel that they're worth, and they really get upset by that because, a lot of times, it's a festival and it might be, as you just said, thousands of people there, and for whatever reason, the powers that be that run the festival only want to pay the artist $100 here or $100 there, and if it's a $5 band, $100 ain't really going to go that far.
No. Not at all. Yeah, I played a festival, a very big country festival back in July out in Kansas, and they had big giant names. And those are the ones that they're paying. They're paying Florida Georgia Line, who knows how much, many thousands. Marshall Tucker and Alabama and all these big guys are getting a lot of money, and guys at my level were getting like, here's a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not exaggerating too much.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying because they look at you like you're the lower budget. You're not the star of the show. And so it's like, well, these guys, we hungry, and we trying to get to where the other guys are. So they feeling like they giving us exposure. So they don't want to give you too much, and it's like what? But everybody's got to start somewhere.
That's right, and all those people that are making $10,000, they were all working for a cheeseburger too at one point. But it does seem today, because of the way record sales are like in the toilet because of streaming, that there's the gulf between the haves and the have-nots seems to me to be getting much wider than it ever was before. Like you're either rich or you're poor, and there's not too many slots in the middle.
Yeah, and that's just the way of the world these days, man.
It's not just music, is it? I know you have a company, right? And I'm not a big proponent of. No, I don't do politics, but it does seem ridiculous when you got some of these companies where the CEO is making $500 million a year, and he's got a bunch of other people that are making 50 cents an hour. Again, that's an exaggeration, but it's not too much of one.
No, it's not. I understand where you're coming from. I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, and music is really tough. It's tough business. It's like trying to be a famous actor or famous artist or whatever. Man, most people struggle and don't make it. But we do it because we love it.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing with anything you do. You know, you never give up and you love what you do.